Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Adrian Mason. It is Saturday, January 4th, 2014. Happy New Year, everybody. I hope everybody had a fun and safe New Year's Eve and that whatever that you're wishing for 2014 comes true. If 2013 wasn't great for you, hopefully 2014 brings some better love, better luck, better fortune, etc. Now that I've said that, this is a football blog, so we shall talk football. Today begins the road to Super Bowl 48. The road to Super Bowl 48 begins today. It's Wildcard weekend. There are 4 games this weekend, 2 today. And the first game I'm going to discuss is the Kansas City Chiefs, led by Alex Smith, Jamal Charles, heading to Lucas Oil Stadium to take on Andrew Luck and the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts won the AFC South, so they're hosting this game, obviously. The Kansas City Chiefs, after going 2-14 last season, new head coach, new QB, revitalized offense, stout defense. This team went from 2-14 to 11-5, and they're in the playoffs. So you definitely have to tip your hat to Andy Reid and the job that he's done. And sorry, notification there, but the Chiefs obviously went from worst to almost first, but hey, still a great regular season for the Chiefs so far. I'm gonna break down each team one by one and give their keys to victory and my prediction. So without further ado, let's start with the visiting team, the Kansas City Chiefs. Like I said, they come into this matchup as 11-5. They started out the season 9-0, which was surprising. Took the league by storm. This team was just lights out defensively. Sorry, notification again. Defensively, they were just kicking all sorts of ass. And Alex Smith, and me being a Niners fan, when Alex Smith, his positives, when he is efficient, when he's smart with the ball, he's not going to take many risks. And basically, he's smart with ball control. And then, of course, you have the Chiefs with Jamal Charles, who is probably one of, if not the best utility back in the league. Shady McCoy has a definitive argument on that. But you look at how the Chiefs were scoring their points and how the Chiefs were moving down the field. Jamal Charles was a huge asset to that. And yes, while they did go 9-0, the last 7 games, unfortunately, they went 2-5. And their last loss was to the San Diego Chargers, but they rested half their starters. Their loss when everybody was in the game, well, everybody that was a starter at least, the Indianapolis Colts came to Arrowhead and basically, they beat them up. It was a 23-7 victory in favor of the Colts, and yeah, the Chiefs they looked absolutely dreadful. And like I said, they went 2-5 down the stretch. They got swept by the Broncos. They got swept by the Chargers, and like I said, the Colts. So of their 5 losses were to 3 teams. They just got swept by 2 of them in their own division. So you start to think, okay, this team went 9-0. They were lights out. Well, the thing is, you also got to remember, last season they went 2-14, so they got the 4th best. They were 4th in their division, so they got the 4th. The easiest schedule. Let's just put it that way. Their schedule was absolutely easy. Now I say absolutely easy, but at the same time, they went undefeated against the NFC East. They went, obviously, so they got 4 quick wins off of that. And then in the beginning, they played the Raiders and all that kind of stuff. But it was when they started playing the heavier teams like the Broncos, and hey, the Chargers, which, the Chargers in the playoffs now. And then what happened to them with the Colts, questions started to loom about, are they really good against big competition? And, obviously they have an opportunity to answer that question today. Now, the keys for the Chiefs, obviously the main objective is to get Jamal Charles the ball any way they can. Handoffs, dump-offs. And obviously Alex Smith got most of his yardage because he would throw those swing passes or those quick 5-yard passes to Jamal Charles, and Jamal Charles would just get busy, turning 2-3 yard passes to 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 yard gains and touchdowns. And which is, it's interesting enough because Jamal Charles was the leading receiver in terms of yardage for the Kansas City Chiefs. That's not necessarily a good thing, but given how well Jamal Charles plays as the running back and, being able to catch swing passes, I mean, this benefits Alex Smith because Alex Smith is not a downfield thrower. He is not somebody that's going to air it out, like Jay Cutler or Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. I mean, you're not going to confuse, or Drew Brees, you're not going to confuse or Alex Smith with the guys I just mentioned. His efficiency is smart passes, smart less than 10-yard passes to, tight ends or running backs. But the main objective for the Chiefs today is to make sure Jamal Charles gets more than 20 touches. He needs to have that ball in his hands. They got to the dance with him getting the ball as much as possible, so therefore, you continue that trend. Also, let Alex be Alex. And what I mean by let Alex be Alex, Alex is an efficient quarterback. The dreaded game manager tag comes with him, but the thing is that when you have a QB that's smart with the ball, that isn't going to give you headaches because of how many turnovers he's given the other team, you feel a lot better with your offensive play calling. Alex Smith is a smart QB. He's an efficient QB, and he's quite deceptive when it comes to scrambling. He can actually get out there, and if anybody watched his game film when he was at Utah, or heck, recently his game against the Saints when he was the Niners starting QB, Alex has some surprising wheels on him. And for the Chiefs, for Andy Reid, and obviously Andy Reid is a QB guru. Hell, if he was able to get Kevin Cobb a $60 million contract, and he's got, how many other QBs? He made Vic a $100 million QB again. Excuse me. Obviously, he knows Alex Smith's skill set. Andy Reid runs a West Coast offense. Alex Smith is a QB that is contoured. I mean, he fits the West Coast offensive scheme perfectly because of the short passes, the lack of a better term, the dinks and dunks. It fits his skill set. So you cater to him. You do not want Alex Smith having to resort to launching the ball. That's not his forte. Like, basically, he does not have the arm strength for that. Intermediate passes, yeah, but don't expect him to, give up, or don't expect him to have him give you chunk plays, 20-yard bombs down the field, 20-yard passes from his arm, 30-yard passes. If you're going to get that, it's because he threw the ball 6 or 7 yards to a receiver, and they made it to where it was a 20-yard, 30-yard gain. So that's going to make Alex's stat sheet look good, but he's not going to do that off his arm strength alone. So you cater to what his skill set is, and that's short, efficient passes, smart reads. That's what got the Chiefs to 9-0. You keep that. Also, Justin Houston's back. And Justin Houston's been out since week 12. Elbow injury, he was out. He's been out since week 12. He's back today. And, of course, he wasn't in the game against the Colts. So that pass rush kind of was stymied by the Colts. And so getting Justin Houston back is major because that's going to free up Derek Johnson. It's going to free up Tamba Hali, Dontari Poe. It's going to be able to give the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs some wiggle room and some more creative options for him to utilize his defense. And so having Justin Houston back is major. The other thing, as much as I said, let Alex be Alex, the wide receivers for the Chiefs have to get involved. Because if the Colts start game planning and trying to shut down Jamal Charles and or Dexter McCluster, then that means Alex has got to be able to get that ball to his receivers. Donnie Avery, Dwayne Bowe. I mean, these guys need to step up. A.J. Jenkins, the cast-off from the Niners, they got to step up. They have to step up, and Alex Smith has to step up and be able to get the ball to these receivers. Because if Jamal Charles can't get it loose and Dexter McCluster can't get it loose, this is going to be a problem. It's going to be an all-day issue for the Chiefs. Also, special teams. The Chiefs, speaking of Dexter McCluster, one of the best return men in the league, and field position is going to be huge. So, I mean, if Dexter McCluster can break off a couple huge run backs on punts and kickoffs, then it's going to put the Chiefs in a great position to win this game. Now, having said about the Chiefs, let's talk about the Colts. The Colts are also 11-5, and they actually played in the worst division in the National Football League. Damn the NFC East and damn the NFC West of years past. The NFC South was just total trash, and that's not the Colts' fault. The Texans crashed and burned royally. I mean, this was like, I mean, I don't think an asteroid can fall faster to the earth than what the Texans did. So the Texans go 2-14. They're the number 1 pick in next year's draft. You have the Jaguars, who started out 0-8, and you have the Titans, who were thoroughly inconsistent. So by default, I mean, matter of fact, the Indianapolis Colts were the first team in the league to have won their division. It took all the way up until week 17. It took up week 16, week 17 for all the divisions to be sorted out. But the Colts had already clinched like 2 or 3 weeks prior. So that just goes to show it wasn't like they dominated their division. Just their division sucked. But having said that, the Colts, when it comes to big games, they step it up. They beat the 49ers in San Francisco. Then they beat the Seattle Seahawks. And they beat the Denver Broncos. So when it comes to big name matchups, the Colts stepped it up big time. And these are 3 teams that are looked at as Super Bowl contenders. 2 of those teams are the number 1 seed, and that's Seattle and Denver. And San Fran is on a hot streak. So that's a testament to how well that they were coached and how well they played ball when they were able to beat the likes of those 3 teams. Now, how on the other side of that coin, as well as they played against those teams, they look like total crap against a few others. Namely, the St. Louis Rams, who came into Indianapolis and beat the shit out of them. Yes, I said shit. Beat the shit out of them, 48-8. And then they go to Arizona and get blown out. And then they go to Cincinnati and get blown out. So, on one coin, you have them as world beaters against the Niners, Seahawks, and Broncos. Then over here, you have them as Glass Joes against the Rams, Cardinals, and Bengals. So, you don't know which team is going to show up. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they do not have Reggie Wayne. Reggie Wayne tore his ACL in that game against Denver. And ever since then, Andrew Luck's offensive production has gone straight to crap. Not to mention that run game, or lack thereof, which I'll get to in a minute, in my keys for the Indianapolis Colts to win this game. And like I said, these 2 teams met in Week 16. Indianapolis went to Kansas City and beat Kansas City 23-7. Obviously, the playoffs are a different beast, a different monster. So let's look at the Colts and what their keys to the game are for them to win. 1, they've got to get lucky. Yes, cheesy, cheap, I know, but stay with me here. They got to get lucky. Andrew Luck has to turn into the Andrew Luck that played the Niners. Andrew Luck that played against the Seahawks. The Andrew Luck that played against the Broncos. They need that Andrew Luck back. Because the Andrew Luck down the stretch, and I'm not talking about that Colts game, or the Jaguars game, excuse me. I'm talking about they don't need the Andrew Luck that laid eggs against the Rams, that laid eggs against the Cardinals, and that laid eggs against the Bengals. They need Andrew Luck to recapture that early season magic, where everybody was hailing him as this 4th quarter comeback king. You know, that luster has diminished in the last few weeks. So they need the Andrew Luck of weeks 1 through 7. Let's just put it that way. Also, Robert Mathis, who chances are could be the defensive player of the year and led the league in sacks. And he's been doing this all his career, even when Dwight Freeney was there. And for him to do it without having Dwight Freeney next to him or on the other side of him is a testament to how well he truly is. You can't sit there and say he was getting busy because Freeney was on the other side. Freeney took money in San Diego and missed the entire season. Robert Mathis stepped up and was just a hellraiser all year long. So they need Mathis to wreak havoc like he's been doing. That starts happening, and the thing about Alex Smith is you can get to him because he holds the ball way too much. And as a Niners fan, I know that firsthand. So getting Robert Mathis off the edge and being able to get to Alex Smith because he likes to hold the ball too much, that plays well into his hands because, and Robert Mathis is a strip sack machine. So be on the lookout for that too. Next up, like I mentioned earlier, that run game that the Colts have, they better find one quick, fast, and in a hurry. Because the thing is that if you can turn a team one-dimensional, you pretty much have the advantage. And the Colts' run game has been shit. And the thing is, it started out bad because Vic Ballard, they lost him for the season. Ahmad Bradshaw, who was a big reason that they beat the 49ers, he was lost for the season. And so you have the likes of Donald Brown and quite possibly one of the worst free agent acquisitions in recent memory, Trent Richardson. Jim Irsay gave up a first to the Browns to pick up Trent Richardson, and he has proceeded to do nothing but absolutely suck. And he sucks so bad that Donald Brown looks good. And I'm sorry, yeah, Donald Brown may be looking good right now, but the thing is he's been in the league for 4 or 5 seasons, and he hasn't done a damn thing. They drafted him to be a starting back, and he's showing out because the main thing is he wants to prove that he's better than this highly coveted free agent acquisition that the Colts picked up. So he's motivated, but at the same time, you can't really rely on that. And the thing is that with Justin Houston back, obviously the Colts or the Chiefs defense is ready to go after that run game because the Colts have quite possibly the worst run game in the postseason right now. Sans the Saints, who I'll get to in a little bit. Also, just like I said with the Chiefs, the young receivers for the Colts have to step up. Reggie Wayne isn't there. This is a veteran who's been in many big postseason games. He's not there. He hasn't been there since the game against Denver. And like I said, Andrew Luck's production has gone straight to crap because of it. Because these other receivers can't get uncorked. They can't get loose. T.Y. Hilton can blow it up a couple times. Hey, he even went over 1,000 yards this season. But the thing is, he's streaky. You don't need streaky. You need consistent. And so T.Y. Hilton has to step it up. Darius Hayward-Bay, he needs to step it up. And then, of course, they have their rookie wide receiver, Derrick Rogers, who had a pretty big game against the Bengals, even though it was a blowout loss. But he showed promise. He showed potential. They need to get these guys in the mix because in order for Andrew Luck to really have that magic, those receivers need to be able to help him out along the way. And now, having said all that, who do I pick for this game? Obviously, the Colts are at home. The Colts are at home. They got all this momentum riding, and they've beaten the Chiefs beforehand. But they did it with a short-handed Chiefs staff. Justin Houston is back. Andy Reid has had time to game plan against the Colts. And the thing is, like I said, Alex Smith had a bad game by his standards in the matchup against the Colts. I don't see him doing that today. And I'm actually picking the Chiefs to beat the Colts 23-20. I'm picking the upset. I guess you can call it an upset. I'm picking the upset of the Chiefs to beat the Colts 23-20. And it's going to come down to the fact that the Chiefs have a much stronger run game, which means that they're going to eat a lot of clock. And the thing is, with Alex Smith being efficient, is ball control. So that means they're going to have to force Andrew Luck to channel Peyton Manning to get that ball down the field in chunks and score quick. I don't see that happening. I see the Chiefs stepping it up, and they move on to the next round. So, Chiefs are my pick. Stay tuned as I will give you my picks, or my analysis and my pick for the other wildcard matchup tonight, and that is the New Orleans Saints at the Philadelphia Eagles. So, stay tuned to that. I'll be back in a little bit. Peace.